welcome to My Loudest Thoughts. I want to be your number one tinfoil hat certified conspiracy guy. Now, today we're doing things a little bit different. I actually have the camera set up on the table, so if it's a bit shaky, the camera on me is a bit shaky. Sorry about that. We're not going to be using it that much. Most of this is going to be based off of screen recording. But what I would like you to know is that today we're going to be covering some absolutely disgusting stuff. We are going to be talking about the normalization of child predator behavior. Okay? Now, I'm trying to do this mostly YouTube safe, but at the same time, we're going to call them what they are. Okay? They're pedophiles. Now, I have uncovered a group that would like to do away with the age of consent completely. Okay, they think that pedophilia is completely fine and that it should be normalized, and anyone who opposes that is just engaging in ageism. Okay, which is a stupid damn term. I'm sorry, but if you're too old, there's certain things that you probably shouldn't do unless you're in exceptional health. And if you're too young, there are certain things that you shouldn't do because you can't really comprehend what is going on. Okay? That's just the pure and simple fact of the matter. Now, whenever we get to this group's homepage, right out of the gate, I was just absolutely blown away because they have this banner here of rotating photos, and like this particular one here, you see a bunch of children sitting around with this weird old guy, right, who's dressed up all nice and stuff, but like he's dressed nice, and all of these kids look like the old school representation of what orphans looked like or something, right? Like these are all poor kids or whatever. They're just wearing rags for clothes. And this guy's sitting here in a suit and everything. So I don't actually know how the hell this would help their cause whatsoever. But this group is called North American Man-Boy Love Association. And just the name alone creeps me the hell out. Man-boy love. Like, that is so disgusting of a thought. It's not even funny. But then we have this other photo that they have once again on their banner, right? So they want it to be very prominent on their website. And it's a bunch of naked boys playing tug of war. And they're all very clearly young. You know, these are 13, 15-year-old kids. Something like that. Like, it's fucking disgusting. But when we go to their About page and you go to Who Are We, right? So it talks about the fact that the group was founded in 1978. It was inspired by the success of a campaign based in Boston's gay community to defend against a local witch hunt. I don't really know what they're referring to, but I'm guessing in Boston, 1978 wasn't exactly a great time for the gay community. So I'm guessing that a lot of people were very unhappy with the gays in Boston at the time, and somehow they did some kind of movement that changed perception, maybe changed some laws, I don't know. Not really interested. The point is that they are automatically equating themselves with just normal gay men. You're not the same, okay? Two adult men who engage in sexual behavior is not the same as a full-grown man and a young boy engaging in that behavior, whether it's consensual or not, okay? It's not the same thing. Okay, but then they go on to talk about their goals, support, building understanding and support for such relationships. Not going to happen with me, period. Not going to happen. Educating the general public on the benevolent nature of man-boy love. So listen, if you're a man who has a son, yes, you love your son, but if, that love takes a different form, it cannot be a good thing. It is only a negative thing. It's just that simple. And then the one that cracks me up the most is cooperating with lesbian, gay, and feminist and other liberation movements. They don't want you. Okay, you are not the same thing. These people, especially the feminists, but also the lesbian and gay movements and all these other movements, one of their biggest proponents that they talk about is everything is within consensual relationships. So if you are trying to talk about something where there can be no consent, they don't want anything to do with you. Okay? So I would like to ask you to stop using the rainbow. Okay? This is fucking disgusting to me. These people are trying to hitch on to a completely separate group of people who, for the most part, and yes, I do have problems with some of the lesbian movement stuff going on, but for the most part, they're just wanting to live their lives as free Americans, which means that they're allowed to engage in these acts whatsoever. Like, my biggest argument with the gay and lesbian movement is I'm just tired of seeing it all the time everywhere. I'm tired of seeing the rainbow flag everywhere. And I'm honestly kind of aggravated that they took the rainbow that was just about, innocence of children and so on and so forth, and children's painted it on stuff and blah blah blah, and somehow it was associated with children, and now they have associated it with being gay, with being homosexual. I have a problem with that, and I have a problem with the fact that it's just all the time, and they constantly want representation in all the movies, and now all the movies are becoming garbage because of it, right? And now we're all afraid of offending each other and shit, and it all kind of started with the gay movement, or became went to a whole nother level when the gay movement came around. But that's basically my biggest gripe with them. We'll make a different video about that kind of shit. But anyway, participation only in the above context. Oh, wait, I forgot one. Supporting the liberation of persons of all ages from sexual prejudice and oppression. So basically, they just look. They want to support people of all ages to be able to do whatever they want sexually without oppression or legal problems. Okay, it's fucking disgusting. So participation only in the above context is open to everyone sympathetic to man boy love and personal freedom. Well, I'm all about personal freedom, but count me out, because man boy love should not it should not be a thing. It just shouldn't exist. We cannot facilitate contacts between individuals other than from the above enumerated purposes. The North American Man Boy Love Association, the NAMBLA, we're going to call them the NAMBLA. Okay, so the NAMBLA calls for the empowerment of youth in all areas, not just the sexual. We support greater economic, political, and social opportunities for young people, and denounce the rampant ageism that segregates and isolates them in fear and mistrust. We believe sexual feelings are positive force of life. We support the rights of youth as well as adults to choose partners with whom they wish to share and enjoy their bodies. No, no, period, no. It may be ageism. You know what? I don't care. I think that it's ageist that you don't let a 15-year-old boy drink beer. I don't. I think that that's ageism. You are a bigot if you don't allow your very young children to drink alcohol or smoke weed or do drugs or anything of the nature. Like, it's just absolutely absurd. Why don't you let a 10-year-old drive your car? Why wouldn't you do that? That's ageist if you don't do that. No, this is completely ridiculous. There are good reasons that we don't let children do things when they're extremely young. Okay? We just don't do it. Okay? Now, I would say that we've actually taken that too far, such as alcohol and tobacco, you're not allowed to have at 18. I think that's completely ridiculous because, one, we allow them to do everything else when they're 18. We treat them as an adult in the criminal justice system if they're 18. And the biggest one, they can go to war to fight for their rights here in America when they become 18. Now, as far as I'm concerned, if a child is old enough to go to war and fight and kill and be shot at and possibly killed, they have the right to have a beer. Okay, that's just my personal opinion on the matter. But that's like the worst sex or ageism that I actually believe exists here in America. And feel free to comment why I'm wrong on that. That's totally fine. Um, So what, you want 12-year-old truck drivers? 12-year-old police officers? How about an 8-year-old masseuse? That sound like a good idea to you? This is completely ridiculous. So they, not only is it bad enough that they want to be able to commit sexual actions with children, but they want children to be able to go right back to work. They want to get rid of all the child labor laws, apparently, which is just, I mean, it's way less bad. If that's all that they were for, I would probably still make a video about them, but it would be a totally different video, and I wouldn't hate these people so damn much. Anyway, NAMBLA does not provide encouragement, referrals, or assistance to people seeking sexual contacts. NAMBLA does not engage in any activities that violate the law, nor do we advocate that anyone else should do so. Well, now that right there is extremely interesting because of this next paragraph. Okay? It becomes very interesting here in just a moment. Okay? That little line right there becomes very interesting. Okay? We call for fundamental reform of laws regarding relations between youths and adults. Today, many thousands of men and boys are unjustly ground into the dysfunctional criminal justice system blindly. This system condemns consensual, loving relationships between younger and older people. NAMBLA's prisoner program, with limited resources, works to provide a modicum of humanity to some of these people. Click here to find out more. Well, we are about to click that. Okay, we're going to click that here in just a minute because I'm a little confused. You just said that you do not encourage illegal activities. You don't encourage people actually act on these thoughts whatsoever, right? So why would you have a prisoner program for those who have done those? And this just kills me that they think that our laws simply ignore the idea of consent in these cases with young children. No, we don't ignore the age of we don't ignore consent. We just understand that under a certain age there cannot be consent for these actions. Okay? Therefore, we're not denying consent. We're not ignoring consent. We just don't think that it can possibly happen. Okay? So once again, guys, you're off your rocker. Okay? You're disgusting. Now, let's find out what this prisoner program is, because surely if they don't support people do these things, it can't really be that big of a deal, right? Surely not. Well, let's see here. Our prisoner program seeks to provide moral support to incarcerated boy lovers. Ooh. But they can't be a part of your group. You don't encourage. But I thought you said you were against them acting on this. If they're incarcerated, that means that they were proven in the court of law that they actually went out and committed the physical actions against real children. Okay? These people experience harsh and exceptionally hostile environment, which undermines their concepts and self-respect. Yes, yeah, that's exactly what happens, and I wish it was harsher and more hostile. I really do. I think that this is completely ridiculous. Okay, we keep in touch with prisoners primarily through a monthly prisoner letter. Yada, yada, yada. So anyway, you can read about all this, but it's basically talking about how they send out publications and reading materials and all kinds of letters, and they even have, and check this out, they even have a pen pal system. So if you are one of these deranged fucking psychopaths that wants to be able to have sex with children, well, then you can write to someone else who already has done that, right? And now they will warn you. I will say this. They do warn you that the prisoners are, or the prisons are going to screen your letters. It's going to happen. They screen all the letters. I think they screen all mail coming into the jail at all, no matter who it's going to, but especially to prisoners and inmates, right? Now, they go on to talk about therapy programs and family and friends and things like that, so on and so forth. But this is absolutely ridiculous. At one point, they talk about how these boy lovers are more harshly punished by the law than murderers. No, they're not. It's that simple. No, they're not. I have literally seen sexual predators go into jail and then be released 2 years later and stuff like that. And if you go look at the sex offender registry, one of the things you'll notice, if they list their sentence, which mine here in the state of Indiana does, it actually lists the sentence, and most of the sentences are 6 years or less. They're 6 years or less. Murderers don't get 6 years. They get 10, 20, life, shit like that. They don't get 6 years. And they don't often get a lot of it lifted. They don't get a lot of it suspended. They often are ran through the ringer, as they should be. My argument is that these people shouldn't have to worry about jail time at all. They shouldn't. They should be executed. That's simple. And personally, I don't think that it should be a nice way of execution whatsoever. Think about the end of Braveheart, okay? Or what the Romans were doing to Jesus, right? Crucifixions. I would be okay with bringing back the guillotine. I think that would be a good way to do it. I just think that's way, way too fast, but it does create a spectacle. So, you're pretty sure that you're going to get a whole lot of people to show up to that, and the more people that show up, the less likely it is to occur again, because people are going to think twice about these sorts of things, right? Okay, but whenever you get down to things you can do, you can make monetary contribution to the prisoner program. This will allow us to increase the number of newsletters we can send. Tell incarcerated boy lovers you know about the prisoner program. Don't speak to them, okay? And if you do so in a negative way. Equate yourself with the do's and don'ts of writing prisoners and become a pen pal. No, just don't do that. And then visit an incarcerated boy lover. No, just no. They need to rot. Okay, they need to rot there. Connect with the prisoners' civil rights movement. No, okay, you don't need civil rights. You need execution. If you are a child toucher, okay, if you are one of these boy lovers, girl lovers, child lovers, you need executed. You do not need your civil rights. You do not need any of that. You need to be executed, plain and simple. If you have an incarcerated family member or friend and need to better understand his situation, contact us. If you have family members that are guilty of this, I'm sorry, but your family needs to shrink by one. Hopefully it's only one. By however many there are that are guilty of these actions, it needs to shrink by. Okay, they need to just vanish. They need to not be our problem anymore. Now, they were talking about publications, and so I wanted to see if they had examples of these publications. And so I was flipping through here, and we're not really going to do much here. I just want to look and see what it is that they got here, right? Because it's going to be fucking disgusting, and I just want to show people that this is absolutely happening. Okay, this is a large group. Even just the beginning of that. Like, what the hell is going on here? Right? Now, if this wasn't for a group that was, once again, advocating for sexual predator behavior, I would think that this was just like a horror comic book for children or something like that, but it's not. It's a group that is talking about sexual activity with children, and then you have a child here looking absolutely horrified with some kind of monster grabbing him from behind. It paints a really, really bad picture. And yet this is one of the first things on the page, right? This to me was just this whole comic book here just seems like an excuse to show a child naked, without showing so much that it was a massive, massive problem, right? They can kind of hide what they got going on. I mean, this is absolutely disgusting, and this one kills me. This one I actually thought was hilarious. Okay, now this guy is supposed to be a far right crazy. Trump won. The vaccines are a conspiracy. Gays, blacks, Jews, women. Right? Okay, he's a crazy guy. He's got the rebel flag T-shirt on, flying the rebel flag, the whole 9 yards. And then this woman comes up. Your mind is warped by ignorance and hate and sheer stupidity. Your whole belief system is repugnant to any decent person. And then it just shows her looking mad at him. And then this guy goes, well, lock up the boy lovers. And she goes, oh, I agree. You know what this tells me? Even with America being as divided as we are right now, most people still disagree with this group. And they made a comic book about it that I think is supposed to make you change your mind about it or something. Like, oh, well, look at this insanity, right? And it's like, no, look at your insanity. Both of these people who I assume that the lady in the blue shirt here, I assume that she's super far left or something, right? Now, there's nothing here to indicate that. This is just a stupid comic, but she could be as far left as she wants. She still doesn't like boy lovers. That seems to be the point of this. And yet they have put it out here as if it's something else entirely. And then you just got a bunch of creepy fucking drawings, and then they're asking for money. Because they're always asking for money, right? So I wanted to know, how frequent is child sexual abuse? And by the way, really hard to find. I forget where this graph comes from, so it could be inaccurate. I don't know. But this is basically reported numbers of child sexual abuse from 2010 to 2016. And you can see that in 2013 we had a very small dip, although it was basically flat from 2010 to 13. But then all of a sudden it starts to go up. It starts to go up, and by 2016 we're looking at over 5,000 a year. I wish I could have found more reports on this, but at the end of the day, I couldn't. So it is what it is. I went to the Bureau of Justice Statistics, and this particular document comes from the U.S. Department of Justice, and it's all about child sexual abuse and so on and so forth. And this is the one that made me literally physically ill, because I knew that the other stuff was going on. I knew that it was going on. And I knew that it was completely disgusting and so on and so forth. But this is where I got really deeply disturbed, because here's the deal. So, age distribution of victims of sexual assault. And if you look, there is from zero, there's basically none, right? And then it starts to go up a little bit on one, which is, once again, just how is that even possible? But by 3 or 4, all of a sudden it just skyrockets, right? Like this is absurd. And I don't really know how many cases there are of this. And this is probably only things that are being reported. I don't feel like reading this whole document. Once again, it literally makes me sick. But for some reason around 4, it starts to come back down. But then it shoots right back up around 13. Between 13 and 15, it is just sky high. And then by the time that you hit 20, it just falls off. It just falls off, right? So you got this massive drop at 15, from 15 to 20, and then after that, it's just a slow decline. And so that was kind of mind-blowing. There's one in particular that really fucked me up, but you can just kind of look at these graphs and realize how just deeply disturbing all of this is, right? This is wild. Here it shows the age of people by gender. And if you'll notice, males after the age of 20, it just doesn't happen. It basically just doesn't happen. But if you're a woman, you got to deal with a fairly high level of this all the way up to 30 years old, and I'm guessing long beyond that, you know. But with women, not only does it peak even higher, all the way across the board, is it not only higher, but it also peaks slightly sooner in life, and then it has a second peak that is just, what is that, 2 times higher than males ever experience. No, it's 6 times, almost 6 times, 4 times higher at the minimum. Higher around the age of what, 14, 13, 14, something like that. Like, this is absolutely disgusting. Yeah, that's talking about the time of day, because like this report is actually really well filled out. It's just wild. Now, age profile of sexual assault offenders. Now, this is what fucked me up. I literally thought I was going to throw up, because according to this graph here, once again from the Department of Justice, it peaks at 14. The age of the offender is 14, and then it doesn't really start to drop off much at all until you get to about 20. It starts to drop off a little bit faster, and then it flatlines again somewhere around like 23 to 30, 33. So like a 10-year span where it's basically flat, and then even after that, it doesn't really drop that fast. So yeah, and then this is, you know, age of offender versus the age group, right? So under 6, they're almost all 13, 14-year-olds. What? Between the ages of 6 to 11, almost all 14 to 15-year-olds apparently. And then 12 to 17, it goes up, and I guess the peak is actually 18 on that. And then over 18, it's an older age group from like 20 to, I don't know, 35. Is kind of like the main hump there, maybe 33. This is wild. What the hell do you mean 14 and 15-year-olds are the ones violating these extremely small children? These extremely young children under the age of 6? Are you kidding me? Like, that is just absolutely ridiculous. And it literally made me physically ill, because I never, and I mean never, would have thought that would be true. That is just absolutely absurd. And then here, this is age distribution of offenders before and after smoothing. So if you look at the raw data, you can tell that it's really all over the map. So I'm guessing that this curve that we see going down should honestly be a lot flatter. But they're trying to do the best that they have with the information that they have. And so, yeah, I'll give it to them. And I did download this file. I didn't mind downloading this file because it was from the DOJ. It didn't bother me. It's very raw. It doesn't have a lot of fluff. It's a government report. So they're pretty good about just putting the information in there and nothing else. Now, I would like to show you this too real quick. So 2 out of 3, or 12 to 17. And now this is according to RAIN. But this is what I thought was really screwed up, and they have it highlighted here, right? 1 in every 9 girls and 1 out of every 20 boys experience sexual abuse under the age of 18. 82% of all victims are under the age of 18 are female. Females ages 16 to 19 are 4 times more likely than the general population to be victims of rape, attempted rape, or sexual assault. How fucking sad is that? These are absolutely disgusting facts. So anyways, now I would like to get to the conspiracy side of things and why I'm talking about all this. One, I'm talking about this because there is groups trying to normalize this. These groups are larger than you think. They are louder than you think. And I understand that they're not large yet. Okay? I understand that. But I want you to go back and look at the history of how the gay pride movement worked. Okay? They did not start as this massive thing that they are today. I understand that I focused on one specific group, not 47 groups that I just ran through a list or whatever. I understand that people don't want to look at this, but what I want people to stop and think to realize is that the gay community did the same thing. The LGBTQ movement did exactly the same thing. The trans movement did exactly the same thing. All of these groups did the same thing. Okay, and if you are looking out for something like this, like I have been, you should understand that there are certain patterns that these groups follow. Usually they try to get onto the back of a group that succeeded before them, whether they were anything like them or not, and they try to follow that roadmap. They try to pin themselves onto another group. And this particular group is trying to pin themselves onto the LGBTQ movement, right? They want to ride that pony in. And one, if you are in the LGBT movement, I want you to go out there and I want you to ostracize these people. I don't want you to sit there and just ignore them. I don't want you to just tell them they're not allowed in your group. I don't want you to do that, okay? Instead, what I want you to do is make it very clear that they are not a part of your group, but I want you to make it clear that it's because they are absolutely amoral pieces of human garbage that no human being on this planet should associate themselves with, okay? I want everyone to make these people feel like they are less than human, that they are less than dirt, because that's exactly what they are. Okay? These people are absolutely disgusting, and these child-loving mother should be executed. Okay, they should be executed by the state. We should be having criminal trials for them, right? We got to prove what they did, but they should not be taking up space in the jails. They should not be taking up tax dollars. They should not be doing any of that. They should be executed in the street in front of the public. Okay, that is what we should be doing with these psychos. These people are absolutely sick and deranged. The normalization of pedophilia must be stopped. Now, something that I have noticed, and the thing that really bothers me here recently, is something else that happened with the gay movement right before it became a big thing. It started a long time ago and then it ramped up drastically in the early 2000s, late 90s, early 2000s. It ramped up drastically, and that was celebrities, mainly celebrities like movie stars, TV actors, coming out and talking about the fact that they were gay or they were lesbian or they were bi or whatever, right? And these celebrities kept doing it and kept doing it and kept doing it. And so whenever the gay movement started having their parades and they started doing their marches and everything else, people were already kind of primed and ready for it because they knew so many movie actors and stuff that were this way, that they liked, that they supported. They liked their movies and they liked their music and they liked their everything. And now we have the same thing going on with pedophilia. Okay, I want you to think about Dr. Disrespect and Chris Ava Tyson. And I know there's been some movie actors that have been brought up on it. Politicians have been brought up on it. Epstein just happened, which, thank God, most of the world's still pissed off about that. But the point is, what I think that is actually going on is that the globalist or some massive group, or maybe it's just a bunch of people working independently. I don't know. But there is a push for celebrities to be brought out on these charges, and they're not hiding them the way that they did in the past. Okay, back in the day, whenever these people were found guilty, police brushed it under the rug. They made the investigations go away. They didn't release information, whatever. And so people just didn't know. Okay, and so they were able to ignore it. They're not doing that anymore. Okay, they are pushing it out in front of the eyes, and it's not just with child predators. It's with all forms of sexual abuse. Okay, but when it comes down to it, I'm more concerned about the children. What I see right now is a bunch of people that are coming out, or that are being brought out and forced out into the light with their issues, their predator behavior. And it just absolutely kills me, because what I think is actually going on is that they are going to try and normalize this by pointing at all of these famous people that have all this money and all this success, and all these people love them. And then they're going to go, well, they were a bunch of freaks, so we should just normalize being this type of fucking freak. And no, I don't care how many people in this world think it's okay to fuck children. It is not okay to children. They cannot give consent. Okay? These people are fucking pedophiles. And pedophiles should be executed. It's just that simple. Okay? Now there is one more thing. So they have a flag. And here it is. Okay? The minor attracted persons flag. And the only reason that I'm putting this here is not because I like it, not because I think it looks good, not because of any of that. I'm not trying to spread their news. I don't give a fuck about them whatsoever. I want them all to die. But I am putting this flag out there. That way, if you see someone with this flag as a sticker on their car or their front porch or whatever, if you see this flag somewhere, you will know the people associating themselves with that flag are probably this way or think this way, and you can keep your children the fuck away from them. And God forbid you see it in a school. Like, seriously, that would be just absolutely one of the worst things I can think of. And in today's world, I would not be surprised one bit if that is something that we are going to be seeing all the time. I would not be surprised at all if that's a constant thing. But with all of that being said, I'm tired of talking about this. I don't want to talk about it anymore. I will probably do videos like this yearly. That's what I'm thinking right now, is that I will probably do a video like this every year. Probably not on like a set schedule, but every year, somewhere before winter or around winter, something like that. I will probably force myself to look into all this information again and see what's changed. Because the thing that I don't want to happen is I don't want people to forget about this. I don't want them to be able to brush it under the rug. And I don't want people to simply say it's not happening, because it fucking is.